welcome to another video. In today's lesson we're going to learn this really cool shawl. This shawl is part of a collection, so I will put the links for the other video tutorials in the description box. I would rate this pattern as an easy project, and you can find the written pattern located on my website. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe, as there's always new tutorials coming out. The yarn that we're using in this project is by redheart.com. So if you would like to check out more free patterns and some great yarn, go over to redheart.com. I will leave a link for you in the description box. So let's get started on the lesson. For our supplies, we are going to need a yarn needle with a large eye, a pair of scissors, a crochet hook to go with your yarn. I'm using a 8mm crochet hook. You do want one that's bigger than what's recommended by your yarn because we want to have looser tension. I would like to say a huge thank you to Red Heart for supplying the yarn for this project. In today's video tutorial we are going to use the Soft Essentials range. I have the Greyhound, and you can see here it's a number 5 bulky weight yarn, which is about a 12 ply here in Australia, or an Aran weight or thicker. This project will work with any thickness of yarn, but I'm just choosing this because it works out really quick. I've also got the minty green. It's a really pretty colour, this. You're going to need one ball of the contrast colour in the Soft Essentials and 3 balls Greyhound, which is the grey coloured one. I didn't use all 3 balls. I wasn't sure how much I would need, but I could have done a little bit more in the length for the shawl because I do have quite a bit of grey left over. I think this project would also look really pretty in using up scraps. You could use one main colour, say for instance black, and then use rainbow colours for your contrast colours, and then work them in a rainbow as you work your shawl. And we're going to start with a magic circle. You can use the chain, I would chain 3 and join if that's possible. The hole might be a little bit too small, but you could use a chain 3. You don't want a really big loop at the bottom, and that's where the magic loop or the magic circle comes in handy because you can tighten it up. We're going to chain 3. This counts as the very first stitch, and on the ends we're going to have just one stitch by itself, and this is where we're going to work our increases into so that our shawl gets bigger. So now we are going to do 3 double crochet into the ring, and then we're going to work another double crochet, and that is our end stitch. So at the moment it just looks like a bunch of stitches, but on the next couple of rows it'll work itself out. So this is our end stitch, and our increases get worked into that space there, and this is our end stitch, and our increases get worked into our space there. So it's up to you when you bring in your contrast colour. You can do it every row. So you'll do a row of your main colour and then a row of your contrast colour, or you can leave it every second row, every third. It's completely up to you. So you could do sort of 2 rows of the grey and then 1 of the green, but I'm going to start at the beginning and I'll show you how to do it in case you want to start at the beginning. So if you have a stitch marker handy, you could just put a stitch marker into that loop. If not, just pull the loop big like that, and it'll just make sure it doesn't come undone. I'm just going to pop that in there because I can guarantee, because I'm filming, it's going to come undone. So what we need to do now is turn our work around. I'm just going to pull that tighter in case it comes undone. and we're going to go to the very first stitch, which is here. going to grab our contrast colour, and because we are going to be adding a fringe as we go, this is the beauty of this project, we don't need to sew in any ends. So you're going to figure out how long you want your fringe. So I'm just going to guess and say that much. I can measure that for you if you like. I need to swap this tape measure out. This is the one that curls up by itself. It scares me every time. We've got 15 or 16 centimetres, which is about 6 inches. So we're going to join our colour just after that. We can always trim our fringe if it gets different lengths. We're going to join our colour in, so we're just going to do a chain and just pull down on the end of the contrast colour. We're going to single crochet all the way across, but we want to work a single crochet in that first stitch as well. And into each stitch across, we're going to work a single crochet. Don't work your single crochet too tight, because you don't want to pull the sides in on this row. And we don't want to forget to go into the very last stitch, which is the chain 3. I think that's the beginning chain 3. So into the top chain, which is here, we're going to work a single crochet. And we're going to finish off our ends, but we want to finish off our end the same length that we started with. So pull that out. And chop that off. And we're going to pull through and finish that stitch off. See how these are all sort of hanging? We're going to tie these together. So when we add more fringe at the end, we're going to tie so that they don't come undone. So now we finish off that side. We'll just finish off this green end here. We're going to flip it back around and just find our yarn that we just finished off. So at the beginning of this, you're going to chop and change quite quickly, but as our project goes along, it's going to get less and less, because our rows will get longer. So we want to turn our work around. We're going to chain 3. And if you look down here, you've got the very first stitch, 1, 2, 3, which counts as our granny stitch, and then you've got 1 stitch on the end. So between the first stitch and the second stitch, which is there, that space, we're going to work 3 double crochet, and you're going to work it around your contrast colour row. Let's go back in there for 2 more. This is all worked in the same stitch. Whoops. This big crochet hook is really throwing me. That's thicker yarn too than normal. Then we're going to work across, and we're going to work into this space here, which is between the last stitch and the second last stitch. So go in there for 3 double crochet. And the 3 double crochet is our, what I would call a granny stitch, because it's 3 double crochets into the same one. And we want to put 1 more double crochet in there, and that counts as our last stitch. Pull your loop out. Admire your fantastic work that you're making. So the green here kind of disappears because it's only going to peek out where we've got this space here, and at the beginning there it will disappear. So what you can do just at the beginning there is shift all those stitches over. There we go. If you want to, you could put a chain 1 in between your groups of 3. That's completely up to you. And if you're going to put a chain 1 in there, I would suggest putting a chain 1 after you've done your first stitch, and then at the end after you've done your 3 you chain 1 and then do 1 double crochet. Okay, so let's show you how to do the green round. So if you're not doing the green round, I keep saying round, I'm sorry, it's rows in this project. I've just completed a video with rounds and there was a lot of rounds. So if you're not going to do your green every row, then what you're doing, you'll just ignore when I give the instructions for the green row and you'll just continue on with your grey. You won't work over your green row because there won't be one there. You'll just work into the spaces as normal. I'll show you the next row and I'll show you that without the green, and on the next one I'll show you with the green. So turn your work, chain 3, counts as our very first stitch, into the space between the first stitch of the previous row and then the second stitch that we've got there. We're going to work 3 double crochet. And we've got 2 and we want to work 1 more in there to give us 3 double crochet in the first space. In the next space we have here, we're going to work 3 double crochet, and you can see there we didn't work around any contrast colour because we didn't do one on the previous row, did we? Into our last space between the very last and the second last stitch, we're going to work 3 double crochet, and then we're going to work 1 double crochet in the same space. And yes, I know it is technically 4 double crochets in the last space, but I just want to make sure it's, you know, you're working your 3 for your granny stitch and then you've got that extra 1. You can remember it however you like, it doesn't really matter. It's just, I just want to remind you that you're actually doing that increase on the end. Alright, so if you want to add a contrast colour, this is how we do it again. I'm going to grab that stitch marker and mark that. Just stops the loop coming undone in case you're snagging on something and pull out all your work, which I'm sure we've all done before. So I've turned my work around and I'm going to grab my contrast colour and I'm just going to size it up with a previously done green row. You could just guess this if you wanted to, if you're good at that. Personally I'm not, so I'm going to join it into the first stitch there. Pull that through. Chain 1 and that just secures that in there. I'm pulling on my green thread, it's my contrast colour, to pull that down into there, and I'm going to work a single crochet. I think I just did a half double crochet. Yes I did. Get off. Single crochet, single crochet in every stitch across, and don't forget to do that last one. So that looks like the last stitch, but it's actually not, because you haven't crocheted into the top of the chain. So pick up the front loop and then the back loop and then single crochet. Finish off your yarn at about the same length as the other one. Again, we can trim this at the end, so it doesn't matter. Just pull that through to finish off. And we have a little bit of our shawl here. Pull it. It's looking really pretty already. The colours look great. Alright, so we want to find our loop that we put our stitch marker in. I tell you what, I must be crazy because today's weather is predicted to be 42 degrees. That's in Celsius. That's hot. And here I am making a shawl for winter. That's what we get when we're living on opposite sides of the world. Lots of people are in winter and we're going in summer. So what's the weather like where you are at the moment? I know England, so today's the 14th of December. And yes, by the time you watch this, it's not the 14th of December. But I know now at the moment, England and America's getting quite a bit of snow. So you're going to chain 3. And in the space between the first 2 stitches here, so there's your first one, in that space there, you're going to work 3 double crochet. So don't pull that really tight just there, because you've got to work it around that contrast row, and pull that over so it doesn't leave that big green bit there. May just have to adjust those first stitches just to hide the green bit. Into the next space, so it's 2 rows below, which is there. Going to work a group of 3 double crochet. Probably already know what you're doing. So there is another shawl like this, and it's called the Crochet Down the Line shawl. I will put in a little link that's going to pop up just here, and I'll also put the link in the description box for you. It's a version of this, except it's worked differently. It's worked, you start at the neck and then you work, and it's kind of like a triangle and it just gets bigger, where this is a different type of triangle. I'll also put a photo across the screen so you can see what it looks like. So now we are going to do 3 double crochet in the space, and you'll notice as we go across and do more do more rounds, no, the other one, do more rows, we're going to get more spaces. The heat's already getting to me. And then in the last space, which is 2 rows below, you're going to end up laughing at me because I'm going to say it, or it's going to be really annoying. Into the last stitch and the second last stitch, in between there's a space, and we're going to work 3 double crochet for our granny stitch, and then we're going to work 1 more double crochet for our end stitch. And you just want to watch that green one there, just pull it back out. So that's my 3 stitches, and then 1 more for the end stitch. This keeps going in. Pull up your loop. And this is what we do the whole shawl. We just repeat it the whole way. And you can see now that we've crocheted over these, they're a lot more snug. And then when we come back and do our fringe, or our tassels, whatever you want to call them, we're going to tie these into that, so that's going to be more secure. Or if you don't want tassels, you're most welcome to sew in these ends, but that wasn't the aim of this project. This was to have a project that had lots of colour but didn't have all the ends to sew in. Repeat this for as much as you like. In the next part of the video you will see how much I've done. The great thing about this yarn is it works up really quick, because it's a bulky weight yarn, I think it was. Number 5, which is a bulky weight. I'm going to guess, without actually looking at the computer right now, that that's about a 12 ply. I will put across the screen what it is. Definitely thicker than a 10 ply, so I'm assuming it's 12, but I'll just research that to let you know for sure. So continue on, pause the video, and I'll see you when we are ready to finish off. As you can see here, I have finished my shawl. I have completed 34 rows of the grey, and I've done my green every 3rd row. So I do 2 rows of grey, and then the one row of my contrast colour, which for me is the green. If you need to, you can actually just tug on the edge of the crochet to make it sit properly. I noticed mine was sitting a little bit strange, so if you just grab the sides and give it a gentle tug all the way up, this will make those side stitches sit properly. So I'm going to insert some footage, and it's going to show you how much yarn I had left out of the ball. Altogether, I have used 2 and a bit of the grey, and I've used 1 ball of the green, and then whatever's left is what's on the screen now. So we're going to look at our strands, make sure both studio lights are turned on. Gonna look at our strands, and you're gonna find something that's about the same width. I've just got this is an old plastic photo frame, because I looked at it and thought that's the perfect length. And what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your yarn around. And I think if you look at that, that's pretty spot on. So you're going to grab your yarn, and you're just going to hold it and then just wrap it around. You don't want to pull it really tight. You just want to wrap it around. You could also just cut these by hand and you'd know how many you need to do. You could, of course, count how many strands that you have. So we are going to attach these contrast colours, so for me it's the green, where the green comes out of our shawl. So you can count them and do it that way. I'm just going to make a few, and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm just going to see how many more I need, and then do it that way. Because I don't really want to waste any yarn, because it'll just be little tiny strips of it. So I'm not pulling that really tight. I'm just going to cut that off. And then, and you can see that that's gone shorter because this is stretched out more. They should all go about the same length. So you've got your 2 strands, you've got one there and then one there. You want to make sure they're both cut on the same side. And then we're just going to cut down the bottom here. We're putting our scissors underneath all the strands of yarn. Sharp scissors are really going to help with this step. And then we're going to cut all of our strands. A piece of cardboard would work perfectly with this as well. And then we've got our strands. I'm just going to pop mine to the side there. So you've got our strands. Pop those to the side, and if you've got a smaller crochet hook laying around, then that's going to work really well. Let me see what I've got here. I've got a tulip crochet hook. It's a 4.5. It's just about half the size of what we've used for the shawl. If you want to get yourself some tulip hooks, I do have an affiliate link in the description box of this video, and I really recommend these crochet hooks. I love them. They're lovely to hold. I just love them. These are my favourite crochet hooks, and if you'd like to buy some for yourself, you can do so. I just realised I haven't finished that off. You can do so by using that link, and if you do make a purchase, I will get a small commission out of it, and it's no extra cost to you, so that's really good. So, depending on how thick you want your tassels, is how many you're going to add. I'm going to add 2. So you want to make sure they're lined up even at the bottom. And you're going to go where the green one's coming out. I'm going to miss this one because I just need to check. No, that's just the end of the shawl. Right, I can add this one in. So going just into a space where the green one is. You could put it right in the end here if you want to. I'm going to pull through. I'm going to just get rid of that grey for a minute. Pull through. And I want you just to pull through that strand, which is the end of where we started our crochet work. You're going to pull that through that loop. Then go back through the loop and grab all the other strands. and pull that through the loop as well. And now the strand, so this one here is the strand where we started our single crochet row. That's now trapped into this knot that we're going to pull tight. So you can drop the one that was the single crochet row end and then just grab the ones we've just attached and pull tight. And then if you've got, look at that, that's pretty good. If you've got any sort of long straggly bits, you can trim them off. I'm going to have bits and pieces everywhere. So we go to the next one, grab 2 more strands of yarn. Again, you can do as many as you like. Make them so they're pretty even on the end. Find where the green one comes out. You can see that coming out there. On the end here. So we're going to go in there, pull through. Oops, I've twisted that, sorry. So pull through. Then we are going to probably just grab those strands all together like that and then pull through. I'm just going to grab mine. That's heaps easier than using the crochet hook. You're going to have to figure out which one is the end. See how the end doesn't pull, but these other ones will. And just pull on that end a little bit because it will be a little bit loose because it was, see these ones are a little bit more uneven. So we can trim that off. Little pieces everywhere. And you're going to work yourself along, and after you've done your contrast colour, you can do the same with your main colour. You're going to work your way all the way along. So what I'm going to, or you could just leave it, what am I going to do? Am I going to just leave it with the green, or am I going to add the grey as well? I don't know. I'm going to do all my green, and then I'm going to add a couple of grey and see what it looks like. I think this would look cool. Now looking at it, look cool just with the green. Like I said, completely up to you. Alrighty, so add all your fringe and I'll see you in the next step. I really hope you enjoyed this project. Please share your creations on Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to see what you guys have been making. Please subscribe, there's always video tutorials coming out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy crochet. I'm going to use a magic circle, or a magic ring. And for some reason I can't get this. Oh, there we go. I'm sure that was wrong, but working around our contrast. This is really squishy. Edit it back to the beginning because I didn't do 3 stitches.